of the world. Oh, my people, seek the truth, avoid the evil, learn Yahweh's ways. Torah life. Hello everybody, it's Paul Neeson with this week's Torah Parashah, and we're in a 39th reading this week, and this week's reading is Numbers 19:1 to 22:1. There's a lot to cover this week, and coming next week is one of my most talked about Torah Parashahs, but let's get to this week first. Let's start off with this week in Numbers 20. In Numbers 20, we read several different things here, but we see once again they had no water, the people in the community. In Numbers, it talks about this in Numbers 22. The community had no water, so that again, once again, they started to complain against Moses and Aaron, and they started saying that we wish we never left Egypt, where we would have been fine there, but you brought us out here into the desert. Now, how many times have we seen here in the last couple of weeks, or a couple of readings, where the people are complaining, and over again, after they were pleased, they got their everything they were crying for and complaining about, their food and everything else, they said they won't complain anymore. But what happens? They complain again. So this is leading up to something here, because just like people today, they cry, they want something, and then they get it, and they're still never satisfied. And that's the real disease of the whole scriptures here, is unsatisfaction. The disease of the world, never being satisfied with what Yahweh provides and not trusting in Him. Well, every time He provided, they were happy for a short amount of time until they cried for more. And this always seems to happen. So they said, you left us out here to die in the desert with our livestock. We have no water to drink. And Moses brought this to Yahweh, and Moses and Aaron, it says, fell on their faces as they approached Yahweh in the tent of meeting. And Yahweh answered them, but now Yahweh was not too happy with the people grumbling and complaining. So He told Moses and Aaron to take the staff. Now remember, this is the same staff that was used when they left Egypt, when they went to the Pharaoh of Egypt. Take this staff, and He specifically says here in the instructions in Numbers 28, He says, take the staff and tell the rock to produce water. And the reason why I'm saying this 3 times, tell the rock, is because you might have heard me 3 times, but Yahweh told this to Moses, and Moses didn't listen, and that was a very important part of the scriptures right here. So that again was Numbers 28. He says, take the staff, assemble a community, you and Aaron, your brother, and before their eyes, tell the rock to produce water. Well, Moses and Aaron left, and he took his staff and he struck the rock. He didn't tell the rock, he struck it with the staff. Now the staff did produce water, but you know, Yahweh said to Moses and Aaron, since you did not listen to my instructions and follow them the way I told them to, you will not go into the promised land. So even Moses, a wonderful servant of Yahweh, you know, even him, you know, was disobedient, or, you know, got overzealous, or whatever you want to say, for whatever reason. People ask me, how come he didn't go into the promised land? Well, that's what it says right there, because he didn't listen. And Yahweh warned him and said, because you did not, you will not go into the land. So it wasn't any surprise to Moses and Aaron that they weren't going to go in the land, because it was specifically told them. And not only did Moses strike her once, he struck her twice, the rock. So it says in Numbers 20:12, Yahweh said to Moses and Aaron, because you did not trust in me, so you know, you will not bring this community into the land I have given them. And that's what exactly happened. So they didn't go into the promised land. So we see here in this week's reading in Numbers 20:24, where Aaron was killed, or it was his death. It says, you know, Aaron is about to be gathered to, inasmuch as you rebelled against me when I told you to, instead of striking the rock, I told you to tell the rock. But that didn't happen, and then it says Aaron died there. So now the people have their water, they have their livestock and everything else, but they're still not satisfied. As we see here later in Numbers 21, where they get to the land, and then they start complaining again, saying, in Numbers 21:4, it says, or 21:5, the people spoke against
Yahweh and against Moses, why did you bring us out of Egypt to die in the desert? There is no real food, and there's no water, and we're sick of this miserable stuff we're eating. Again, not being satisfied, and now Yahweh, his patience ran out. And he sent a whole bunch of poisonous snakes to destroy them. And they were being destroyed, and it wasn't for Moses praying to Yahweh, asking him to stop. They wouldn't have stopped. So that's what it's about, folks, and that's what this reading is about. It's about being satisfied with what he's given you. You know, I meet a lot of people that have been giving lives that seem hard to us in today's world, and they lose faith, and the enemy knows how to take that and make people use faith. But we can never lose faith in what Yahweh has in store for us, and he has a plan for us, and we have to realize that, and we have to trust in him. We have to be satisfied with what he gives us. We have to trust in him, and he will provide our needs when we need it, not just when we want it. So that's a very important message, everybody. And we want to be like Joshua and Caleb, who were the only two to come out of the land of Egypt to go into the promised land, because they were the only two to prove themselves faithful, trusting servants. And just like last week we saw when they gave their report, not focusing on the people of the land, but focusing on Yahweh's promises, well, that's the way we need to think, and that's our attitude. Not focusing on what we have today in the physical, but focusing on his promises and trusting that he will take care of us and bless us. It's not a long message. It's straight to the point, folks. Trust in him, and he will provide your needs, and he will keep you safe and satisfied. And we need to be satisfied in his word. So that's this week's Torah Parashah. And I pray everyone has a great week and a great Shabbat. And until then, everybody, shalom, shalom.
Come out of the world, oh my people, seek the truth, avoid the evil, learn Yah.